Nottingham Trent University, working with you. Proud sponsors of Working Week.
On Working Week this week.
Yeah, and a year on after we first asked, we'll be finding out how people feel about the economy.
Some people never even felt the recession and they're doing well. Some people felt the recession hard and they're still struggling.
And we'll actually be dropping in on a designer
From West Bridgford, who's creating a worldwide reputation, but working from home.
My work very much fits around the kids. I'm there for them at the end of the day to pick them up.
And how do you make a living out of wildlife? We'll be finding out.
Hey, remember the dormice?
Yeah, well, you got to see them, didn't you?
Large eyes allows them to see better in the dark. You look at their whiskers as well, which allows them to feel their way along the branches in the dark.
Hello, I'm Rob Pittham.
And I am Des Coleman, even though I've got a poorly tooth.
You've got what?
A really poorly tooth.
poorly
man.
tooth,
I'll
have
show
you?
Agony, see it?
Oh, God, that's got to come out.
It's out, mate.
Has it? No, it still hurts. It's gone.
It still
Got
hurts.
a phantom
Awful.
pain.
Awful.
Where are we going? Oh, yeah, I know. Would you believe it's been more than a year, actually, since we started this programme? And do you remember a year back going out on the streets and asking people how they were feeling about the economy?
So what about the economy? Do you think that's improving?
No, I'm an old lady and I think it's all going to pot.
Girls, do you know something? It's raining and you've got a brolly, so I'm heading over to you. Right? Are you girls one of the lucky ones that are in employment?
No, I haven't got a job. I've been looking for years. Every time I go for a job, everyone else is going for it. Yeah, it's hard.
We graft our backsides off, basically, and minimum wage should be a little bit higher.
Well, I've been back a year later. Let's find out what people think now. When it comes to the economy, are things getting better or worse?
I think they're slightly getting better. We've seen more people out in restaurants and things like that recently, which means obviously people have got more disposable income.
People are spending a lot of money on the children, and yeah, we've noticed a slight pick-up on it, definitely.
Locally, the economy is getting so much better. I think we've just walked through town tonight and we've thought how much it seems to be picking up.
Things in general are improving, but that more reflects where I am in life than I think where the economy is. So I'm, as a relatively recent graduate, things are on a fairly upward trend anyway.
I think that things generally have been improving. I'm not sure how much longer they're going to be improving for, though.
You always get quite a good reaction out on the street, don't you?
That's Nottingham for you, mate.
Yeah, fascinating stuff.
Great
Well,
stuff.
that's the view out on the street, but one man who can tell us now how the economy really is.
Gonna love this. Richard Baker.
From the Nottingham Post.
The economy's now doing pretty well. You've seen the figures keep on getting revised up and up for the growth in the UK economy. And on ground level here in Nottinghamshire, we can see that in so many businesses who are now telling us stories about expansion. They're hiring people, they're investing in equipment, they're expanding premises. They can see an economy that's growing and they want to take advantage of it.
But we talk about these jobs being created and the economy growing, but is it in the right area? You know, there's always a talk about a skills gap. Are we getting the right kind of jobs here?
If you speak to a lot of the businesses out there, they'll still say they really do struggle to find highly qualified people, and there's a lot of work going on with the City Council, with the schools, with the universities and colleges to try to make sure that what comes out of the education system is work-ready, has the right qualifications and the right attitudes. But you're not going to solve that problem overnight. It will take years for us to try and match those two needs.
Well, that's the big side. I was going to say backside, actually, and crack a little bit of a joke, but I won't.
Not like you, not to crack a joke.
Yeah, but anyway, we'd like to show you what people do when they work from home.
Yeah, we'd be along to see a West Bridgford designer who's using her children as an inspiration to build up a worldwide, Des, business career.
For many women, starting a family can stall their career. But for Helena Tice, having her children started a whole new business venture.
It's got a long history. I trained 20 years ago in surface pattern design and worked as a freelancer for a while, and then felt I wanted to do something more altruistic, so I retrained as an occupational therapist, which I worked for about 12 years. Then I had my children, and it all came flooding back.
Feeling rather uninspired by the usual fare for kids, Helena tapped into her previous design training and started creating bespoke pictures and prints that she and her children could both enjoy.
I was working for the first couple of years of the business as a part-time occupational therapist and trying to balance the two. And it was a big stepping stone to say, right, I'm going to finish that paid salaried employment and I'm going to go for it. Lots of courage, no regrets whatsoever.
In just under 7 years, Helena's business has gone from strength to strength, with her products being featured on craft websites, being sold in John Lewis, and even making sales around the world.
So this is where it all started then?
Yep, this is the one. So the Grand Old Duke of York, paper, collage, some printing, lots of ink, and then the actual nursery rhyme in the background, all collaged together. That's where it started.
Yeah.
And that's the style that everything else has really followed.
Well, it's quite a range of stuff now, isn't there?
Yeah, we do quite a lot of bespoke stuff. So these cards have been really popular, especially the teacher one at the moment. The idea was my two were always making a card for Daddy and buying a card for Daddy. So I tried to roll the two into one and created a professionally printed card that you could personalise for yourself.
The impact on Helena's life has been dramatic. She now designs full-time, her products growing up with her children.
It comes from the heart, it really does, and good designs will only happen when you really need to produce that thing.
So what would be your advice for anybody thinking, oh, I want to give it a go and start my own business?
First of all, I'd say have the courage and go for it, but don't be frightened to ask people. Get out there and get some feedback about things, and be prepared to go back to the drawing board if what you come up with first of all doesn't work.
For Helena, taking the leap certainly paid off, with plans for new stockists and products in the pipeline.
A West Bridgford designer doing well there, and we're staying on the streets of Bread and Lard Island because we're going to take a look at the property market across Nottingham. This is set to be one of the hot spots of the city. Let's find out if that's true and what's happening elsewhere in Nottingham with Kate Faulkner, who's our property expert. And Kate, first of all, West Bridgford looking beautiful in the sunshine today. Is this really one of the places where house prices are booming?
Well, it is, and there's a real rationale to that which is important to understand. West Bridgford is a wealthy area. There's a lot of money here, but it also has an ageing population. Now, when people get older, they stay in properties for a lot longer, and that's meant you have a lot of money competing for a small number of properties available. So here we are seeing good price growth, but the volume of sales actually isn't that high. Now, move a few miles down the road, if we're in the centre of Nottingham, completely different. You will find we've got loads of properties there, loads of properties for sale. Would you believe the average house price in the city of Nottingham today in 2015 is exactly the same as it was in 2003?
So that's incredible. We hear all the time about a property boom across the country, but you're saying it's not really happening.
Well, it really depends almost at postcode level and the type of property. You've got to look at what's happening in your local area and talk to your local agents. If you don't know what's happening, prices going up, staying the same, and you just listen to what you hear in the media, you'll be fed a lot of what's happening in London or the West Bridgford stories, not that the city of Nottingham prices today are 15% lower than they were in 2007 at the height of the market. They're not really recovering. We're seeing about a 2-3% growth year on year. So the average for the area is about 5% every year. So we're actually at the city of Nottingham growing about half the level we normally would do.
So what's going on right across Nottingham? What are the areas that are doing well? What are the areas that are doing badly? What kind of factors are affecting them then?
Well, it is all about money at the end of the day. So if you've got very high wages, you've got great employment prospects, and there's a high demand for a short number of properties, prices go up. So that's what's affecting areas like West Bridgford. When it comes to the city of Nottingham, we've actually got an awful lot of properties that have been added to the area. We've got a ton of new flats came on the market at the beginning of the year. So that means that the demand that's there is driving sales, but it's not driving prices upwards. So, and also in some of the areas, they're not particularly well off. We have some quite deprived areas in Nottingham, just like you would any other city, and so people don't have the extra money. Now, where it gets really interesting is when you look at rents, rents react very different to house prices. They only go up if wages are increasing, whereas house prices go up irrespective of wages these days. Now, what we're finding there is rents aren't going up that much in Nottingham overall, even in somewhere like West Bridgford, because the wages aren't increasing. So our rents today are actually slightly lower than they were last year and lower than they were in 2008.
It's interesting what you're saying about, there having to be wealth to kind of drive house prices up. And we've been reporting for more than a year now on this programme that Nottingham's economy is booming. Is that going to have an impact down the line, do you think?
Well, there may well be, but actually one of the things that I see in Nottingham is we have plenty of space to build. This government is 100% behind building new homes and building far more than we've ever done before. They've done huge amounts in London, never seen so many affordable properties being built there. So I don't think we're going to see necessarily the house price growth in the future that we have in the past. I do think rents will stabilise and they'll steadily move forward, but actually I think we're in for a good time really for everybody. You're not going to see the huge growth that we have in the past, but that also hopefully means you're not going to see the huge dips. And although I'm not saying that's the end of boom and bust, because we do have economic crashes and that will happen, I do think we are going to see a more affordable time from a housing perspective, and I think Nottingham has the ability to deliver that more than any other city that I know.
Well, that's it for now.
But we'll be back after the break when we'll be looking at the Ruddington-based manufacturing company that's making parts for aircraft all over the world. I'm glad you did that because I was feeling kind of uncomfortable with you stood up there. Yeah, I know. It was like an audience. I'm not used to an audience.
There's an audience behind us.
Actually, have a look over there.
Wave, everybody.
This product here is Labyrinth Seal. We manufacture on this site in Nottingham alone.
The business has a goal to get to $1 billion turnover. Our aerospace industry continues to go from strength to strength.
Hey, it's great to see
we've got the cameraman laughing. As you can imagine, we're just going to plough on with this one because when we come back, we'll be finding out what business wants from the new government. I'm laughing at your joke and you haven't told me it yet.
Transport, for example, HS2 is going to be decided on the eastern leg over the next 12 to 18 months. It is absolutely essential that we get an eastern leg in and a station in the East Midlands. Otherwise, we're going to lose our competitive advantage around connectivity.
Nottingham Trent University, proud sponsors of Working Week. Nottingham Trent University, proud sponsors of Working Week.
It's a local TV programme called Notts TV. It's just for Nottingham. But you can see it on the internet.
See it on the internet.
Welcome back, and we're busy spreading the Notts TV word to our visitors from France.
No, Spanish. Spanish.
French.
French, it'll be internet in French.
Un lapin.
That'll make them laugh. Talking of Europe, we'll be finding out why it's vital that Nottingham gets a high-speed connection down to London and beyond to the continent.
I don't think there is an argument around HS2 or HS3, which is the cross east-west link north of us here. I think the argument is how do you get both.
And when it comes to linking up with the rest of the world, we'll be meeting the Ruddington air parts manufacturer exporting around the globe.
You will never see our products because they're always inside somebody else's products. Our products are used in landing gear, flight safety critical components. There was an aircraft that came down on the Hudson River several years back. One of our components actually helped that happen safely.
And remember when you went to see the hazel dormouse?
Yeah, little furry creatures, you can do it with them,
Yeah, can you? Well, I wouldn't have thought you could do that much with them. You couldn't take them for a walk. I mean, they're like that big.
They certainly are.
So yeah, we have someone home. Oh darling, get a nice hold on it. So it's very rare that a dormouse will bite as well.
Well, that prompted us to wonder how you can make money from wildlife.
Yeah, it's one of us. We are a subsidiary, we're wholly owned, and all our profits are gift aided to the Wildlife Trust to aid conservation efforts.
All of that to come, but first.
Yeah, you may have noticed there's a new government in power. We wondered what business wants to see from them, so we caught up with David Ralph, who's in charge of D2N2, which is a very long name for the local enterprise partnership in charge of looking after our economy. Well, David, obviously we've got a new government now in office for 5 years with a single party majority. What do you think their priorities should be for helping the East Midlands?
Okay, so first of all, I think it's good that we've got a bit of stability around a single party government. Regardless of colour, I think single party is quite helpful. The first thing I think is really important for the East Midlands is we need to get on the map. So we have the challenge of the South East and London always pushing ahead and always seeming to be a sort of destination of choice. The Chancellor very wedded on the Northern powerhouse, and I think the East Midlands and the Midlands generally needs to really have a loud voice.
How on earth do you make your voice heard? What do you do?
We've got to have a clear what. What is special about this area? And I think it's three things. Connectivity, so centre of the country, great connectivity, nowhere further than 3 or 4 hours away by road. The second is about manufacturing and engineering, real high quality manufacturing engineering, and the third area is innovation. Really good innovation, knowledge economy, links with universities. They are our 3 key selling points. But I also think the East Midlands needs to work with the wider Midlands area. And I think actually that will be a real agenda for us, is about how can we work well with the West Midlands, particularly on that engineering and manufacturing element.
That's an interesting point, because, you know, in the past people have said the big problem with East Midlands, if you come to devolution, is there isn't really an East Midlands identity. So you think joining up with the West Midlands and being the Midlands would be a way forward?
I think joining up is good, but I want to be clear that I think this has to be a staged approach. So our first call for devolution is across the D2N2 area. We've got some real assets in this area. We've got a plan of what we want to do. It is important that some of those levers are delivered to our local authorities, to our combined authorities that we are proposing to go forward, to the cities, but also to our rural areas as well. So that's important. On the basis of that devolution, I think there is any conversation about how we can work well across the East Midlands and West Midlands on further devolution going forward. Some of the more strategic issues, transport, for example. You know, HS2 is going to be decided on the eastern leg over the next 12 to 18 months. It is absolutely essential that we get a eastern leg in and a station in the East Midlands. Otherwise, we're going to lose our competitive advantage around connectivity.
David Ralph, he's got some ambitious plans. He wants to create 55,000 jobs in the region.
And some of them might come from our next feature, a company in Ruddington which makes parts for aircraft around the world. Helen McCulloch went along to see them.
Green Tweed in Ruddington. Probably the biggest company in Nottingham you've never heard of.
This we design and manufacture here at Nottingham. You'll find this in...
They make thermoplastic caps and seals, which appear in 90% of the world's aircraft.
Our components are around 90% of all commercial aircraft. We're effectively 30,000 feet above the ground and literally 30,000 feet below, and many applications in the middle.
Green Tweed have offices in America, Asia and Europe, but have had a manufacturing base in Nottingham for over 30 years.
We came to Nottingham in the early 1980s. It was actually one sales guy in a shop in Bingham who grew the business and grew the business. We then set up a manufacturing operation in Lenton, which grew substantially. Then we moved to Ruddington, and we've continued to grow this base here, literally tripling in size our footprint. Personally, I support all of our operations through Europe and North America, so I'm busy across those elements. Majority of the shop floor are local, so East Midlands, Nottinghamshire, Derbyshire, Leicestershire. The graduate scheme really pulls people from as far as Ireland and Scotland, as we've recruited recently.
The company are keen to bring on new talent, working with local colleges to create apprenticeships and train the next generation of manufacturers.
I've been here for 2 years now, and I mainly get up to making production parts for mainly aerospace market, oil field market, other small markets as well.
I started the apprenticeship last September. Since then I've done a level 2 diploma in engineering operations at college. I've just passed that, so I'll be moving on to level 3 next year.
It's our way of developing the skills to be able to work with our specialist materials. We work very closely with Central College. We have a partnership with them, so they help us promote our opportunity, and generally we're working with other businesses to promote manufacturing as a good career choice for the younger generation.
With plans to expand the company and hit $1 billion turnover, Green Tweed is fast becoming the worst-kept secret in manufacturing.
The business has a goal to get to $1 billion turnover. That is the aim of the entire global business. We see really a growth globally in the semiconductor market. Oilfield markets have some challenges currently, but our aerospace industry continues to go from strength to strength. So we'll always continue to invest in people. That is a core element of the Green Tweed business, is its people and its continued development and growth of those people.
You love your wildlife, don't you? Remember the hazel dormouse?
Oh yes, beautiful little creature.
Let's just recap on what happened when you went to see it.
Can't wait. So where are we off to now?
We're just off to a nest box further up here that we know had 2 dormice in last month. We are hoping that they're still in the box and we can have a look at them today. We come out to this wood once a month as part of People's Trust for Endangered Species National Dormouse Monitoring Programme. So we check the dormice, we check their health, we'll sex them, make sure they're doing okay, and then that information is then fed back to the People's Trust for Endangered Species to inform future management of the dormouse.
Excellent.
If you see the woven structure of the ball and then the green leaves on top, so that's a really nice breeding nest. So yeah, we have someone home. There you go. A very active little dormouse.
They scurry a lot, don't they? Very quick.
I'll just check if there's anybody else home. Oh, and there's number 2.
Is that male and female?
Yeah, it could possibly be male and female. It's during the breeding season. We'll take his box out.
It's gone.
He's gone. So he's gone up the tree. They've got very large eyes in comparison to other small mammals. They are nocturnal creatures, so the large eyes allows them to see better in the dark. If you look at their whiskers as well, which allows them to feel their way along the branches in the dark.
It's actually got hands.
It has. It's got incredibly well-formed little fingers, which allows them to grip onto the trees in the night.
Well, inspired by all that, we wondered how the Notts Wildlife Trust actually makes money from ventures like that. So we caught up with Lorna Griffiths back at their HQ, which is just around the corner from here, to find out a little bit more.
We're a subsidiary of the Wildlife Trust. Our job is to go out there and survey when, say, developers have got a plan. What we do is go out to the survey site, just check what habitats will be affected by any developments, what species, plants, animals. So that's what we do. We go out on site and just check to see what's going to be affected by the works.
So it's a proper business, isn't it? It's run as a business.
Yeah, it's one of business. We are a subsidiary. We're wholly owned, and all our profits are gift aided to the Wildlife Trust to aid conservation efforts.
And what about the kind of demand for it? How much work is there?
This time of year, yeah, we're extremely busy. All our ecologists are out there day in, day out. I mean, it's not just going out to surveys, we've also got to write reports. We've also got to look at desk studies, so we're going out, looking at historical data, see what we know was already there, and then we go out into the field and see if it's still there.
So what kind of things are you looking for? What can stop a development? What can you advise?
It's protected species mainly, so you're looking at bats if you're doing roofing works, barn conversions, demolishing houses. We need to check that nothing's going to be affected by that, so that you're looking at bats, you're looking at badgers. If you've got any ponds on site, great crested newts, waterways, otters, water voles, yeah, a lot of different things. But also you've got plants as well, so botanical studies, invertebrate studies, so yeah, there's a whole range of species that we look at. For example, tomorrow I am out going to do an assessment of quite a few fields. What they're hoping to do is put a solar farm up there. It's got a waterway going through, so I'm going to do a water vole assessment and an otter assessment, but then also looking at the hedgerows, because you've got birds in the hedgerows, small mammals. There's a woodland there, so you're looking at badgers again, so yeah.
And how important is it to the Wildlife Trust that you're doing this and generating money?
It's extremely important, because for them to carry on and do the great conservation work that they do, that they of course need funds coming in, and we can offer that by gift aiding all our profits to the trust.
And what's the future hold in store?
Continue to expand. I think when EMEC first started in 1991, there was maybe 4 staff. We've got 15 employed ecologists now, so just continue to expand, get more work. It's great.
Well, that's it for this week. Hope you've enjoyed the programme. Even though I do say so myself, I found it actually fascinating. We've had aircraft manufacturers.
B2N2.
Yeah, a designer working from home in West Bridgford. The Hazel Dormouse. How could you forget that? Yeah. Let's hope we can keep up the standard next week.
We will.
Yep, see you then.
Okay.
Nottingham Trent University, working with you. Proud sponsors of Working Week.